Hi everyone, welcome to guided journaling number 4. So today we're going to be talking about creativity. I had a viewer request. I'm just going to read what they wrote. Possible topic exploration. Why we don't partake in the creative things we want to do or say we want to do. For example, learn something new, write that novel, etc. So today I am going to be walking you through some journaling prompts so that you can explore this topic, and I will be talking a little bit about what has helped me while we're working through these journal prompts. So pause the video, go grab your favorite journal, favorite implements, and anything else that you want around you that helps you feel good or creative, and we will get started. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is go to a fresh page, and I am going to have you, this is my actual journaling bag over here. This is my guided journaling prompt. Guided journaling, what am I saying? This is my guided journaling prop book. So, does that make sense? Yeah, this is my actual journal. And so you can see the kind of stuff I keep for that. I'm actually going to do some sticker action today because we are talking about creativity, and one of the ways I like to express creativity is through some pretty journal pages. So I'm gonna use some of my Apres stickers just to give myself some extra pretty page. Totally optional. This is just my style. And that's what your journal is all about. I use the Apres stickers, one design or another, almost every time I journal. I layer them, I combine them. I just find them to be a lot of fun. So it's extra inspiring for me. So the first thing, let me make sure, yeah. The first thing I'm going to have you do is I'm gonna have you write down the question, what is your definition of creativity? Now, the reason that I think this is a really important question is I think so many of us have really limited the way we think about creativity. So for example, say you are a nurse in your daily job, and one of the things you do is you figured out creative ways to help kids feel at ease when you're giving them immunizations. You know, you might not think of these things we do as part of our, regular daily jobs that we don't necessarily think of as creative. You might not think of these as creative things, but stuff like that is absolutely creative. Teachers are creative every day. Everybody is creative every day. So I want you to think about how you define creativity and see if you need to adjust how you define it. Because I think what happens to people a lot is they think creativity only means creating art. Like whether that be, a visual art or music or something like that. But creativity is something that most of us are practicing frequently, and we don't even give ourselves credit for it. So I'm going to put as part of my definition for creativity I'm gonna put using my imagination. And examples might be when I'm trip planning. That's a very creative exercise. When I'm curating products for Tokyo Pen Shop. So those are just examples of part of my definition, which is using my imagination. So I also might have as part of my definition creating something new, whether it be an idea or an object. A plan. You sort of get the idea. So I really want you to think about that, how you will appropriately define creativity for yourself, and make sure your definition isn't too narrow, because you're gonna find, and we'll get into this with one of our next prompts, you're gonna find you are a lot more creative than you give yourself credit for. So now the next question I want you to write down is, what are you currently doing that is creative that you haven't taken the time to recognize? I think I might zoom a little bit, because why not? Okay. So I'll probably do mine in list form here. I gave some examples up here, but I would say this video series. I like to think of ways I have a border collie and she needs like trick training, and she needs ways for her brain to be stimulated. So I think it's a very creative process, thinking of ways to train my border collie Petra. One of the things I do that's very creative is I do like an imagination. I guess I would call it brainstorming with my son. So for example, he'll say something like, hey, mommy, can we start a border collie farm? And then just for fun, we'll go through this exercise of, well, what would, that entail if we were to do that? And it's just totally imaginative exercise. Sometimes the question is like, can we move out to a cabin in the woods? And then we'll just kind of just explore with our imaginations what that would entail, how it would be possible, what it would be like. And it's something my son and I both really enjoy doing. So hopefully, as I'm giving you some ideas, you are coming up with some things you like to do that are creative. I would put journaling as a creative exercise. This will be to the surprise of no one, I really like collecting handcrafted jewelry. And, picking that, curating it, that's a creative exercise. We like to think it's only creativity if you're making it. Not true. So, one thing that might be stumping you at this point is, I hope that's the right word, but I think especially in our culture, we think if something is not like impressing people or making a bunch of money, that it somehow doesn't count. And this is just simply not true. Daydreaming is creative. And in fact, it is next to impossible to work those creative muscles without giving yourself a chance to really just sit and do nothing and daydream. And I'm not talking about meditating, just straight up daydreaming. The same way you would like exercise your imagination muscles when you're a kid. So hopefully, given some time, you can really fill up a list here of things that even you're already currently doing that are creative things that you especially, maybe haven't given yourself credit for. For a lot of people, you might put cooking. Cooking can be a very creative exercise. Maybe you plan fun dates for your partner, your friends, or, fun outings with your kids. So you kind of get the idea. Take the time to sort of boost your creative confidence by listing out or journaling on those creative things you already do. Okay? So once you've given yourself enough time for that, the next question we're going to ask is, who has inspired creativity in you? So let's do that. And there are variations of this. You could, do like, who do you have in your life that you think of as a creative person? Just who makes you feel inspired, or who helps you feel inspired when it comes to creativity. I think one of the most inspiring creatives for me is not somebody I know personally, but David Sedaris. And one of the times I went to see him live, I love going to see him read from his articles and books. And one of the times I went to see him live, he said, I write every day. And he actually writes in this journal every day, as well as he just practices writing every day. Now, that doesn't mean that every day he is writing some amazing manuscript that's going to end up being published, but he keeps those creative muscles going by practicing this thing every day that he wants to be doing, that brings him fulfillment in his life. And I have a feeling even if he wasn't making money off of his books, he would still be doing this because this is something that, brings him joy. It's his, prime creative muscle, I guess, would be writing. So he's somebody who inspires creativity in me. There are a lot of jewelry designers who inspire creativity in me. And again, that doesn't mean I need to go out and be a jewelry designer in order to appreciate jewelry design, right? So once you have thought of some inspiring creatives, you might want to go down, another path of something that kind of comes up for you in that area. You might want to think of somebody who is inspiring in that sort of creative area or genre that you're interested in. I don't know if I actually have an exact thing for myself that I'm thinking of here, but I can kind of just pretend for you here. Like, I actually have no interest in learning to play the guitar, but I know that's like a common one. So maybe if you were interested in learning to play the guitar, you could really think about, okay, so is there somebody that inspires you when it comes to guitar playing? And then think about, what do you think their actions and decisions and choices are like in their lives? Do you think they just think about playing guitar, or do you think they maybe actually sit down every day and play guitar? So that can kind of be a route you want to go down with this question. So like, for example, the thing that I think is so inspiring about David Sedaris is he writes something every day. And there's another person, I want to say Jerry Seinfeld also has that habit of just like, no matter what, he's gonna, sit down for a certain number of minutes or hours every day and just work on writing jokes. So I think we get really stuck thinking, well, it's not worth my time unless I can produce something amazing immediately, and that's just rarely ever the way it works. So when it comes to creative things, we have to be willing to be in it for the long haul. Even if you decide that the creative thing that you're missing in your life is that you want to curate a perfect minimalist wardrobe, it's going to take you some time. You're going to have to put some work into it. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to learn some stuff. It's very unlikely you're going to wake up tomorrow and bam, you're like perfect at it. So give yourself that time and devote the time needed to practice. All right, so I think that's enough exploration for that. Feel free, of course, at any time to pause if you want to keep writing in those areas. So maybe at this point you're feeling a little bit of a creative block. So what I want you to do is I want you to journal about what are your favorite creative outlets? Okay, so that might look something like you might be writing, it might be cooking. For a lot of people, you might put photography, dreaming, or daydreaming. Totally counts, guys. It's essential. Collecting. You kind of get the idea. Maybe playing with your kids. Maybe coming up with new work ideas. I mean, you can decide what's most kind of appropriate for your life. Maybe designing your kids' homeschool curriculum. So many things that you could put here. What are your favorite creative outlets? And hopefully by now in this process, you're not limiting yourself to how you're thinking about creativity. Hopefully as this goes on, your mind is kind of expanding more and more and more, and you're realizing how creative you are. I mean, that would be my wish for you. So if you're feeling still a little stuck, I just want to give you a couple more ideas. Think about what you enjoyed doing when you were a kid. Think about doing things that feel good. For some of you that might be designing your perfect bedroom or designing a perfect bath, And I'm not talking about the bathtub, I mean like you want to go home tonight and do a nice bubble bath, and so you're gonna get whatever you think like makes the perfect bath. Maybe it's candles, maybe it's, you know, bubbles, like who knows. Maybe you want to help your friend organize her pantry because you're really good at that. That is creative. A lot of us work on something creative every day, and we don't even give ourselves that credit. And furthermore, I'd say if you want to be a creative, consciously make sure you're doing something creative every day. Keep those creative muscles, you know, active. And this is totally possible. It can be for just a couple minutes every day. Okay, so now that you've got some creative confidence going, I want you to journal about what your creative strengths are. So what are your creative strengths? So like for me, I love color. I'm gonna put that as a strength. You get to put whatever you want. I have how would I say this? A strong imagination. You know, whatever you want to put here. This is one of my favorite colors of highlighters. This Mini Pie I think they call it soft pink, and the line in it is blue. It's really pretty. I ended up with kind of a pink and blue theme going. I did not plan that actually. Finally, I would like you to, I think I have room here. Let me make sure I'm still on the page. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you to journal about what blocks your creativity. Now again, with these prompts, you could fill up pages and pages, but for the purposes of this video, I don't want it to go on for 3 hours. So, you know, it's totally up to you how much journaling you wanna do. So what blocks your creativity? So for me, the big ones are thinking about what other people will think. That totally blocks my creativity, and people rushing me also blocks my creativity. Like today, Frank was like, asked me several times about what was my video topic today, but I don't work well with like from external pressure. And I don't think he was trying to pressure me, but you know, it's like it's a very introverted process for me. I think really long and hard about it, and I don't really like being questioned once I've made up my mind about something. But so before we go, I want to introduce you to thought modeling, because it's going to come in handy with the things that block your creativity, because I think it's really common, for example, to be worried about what other people think. You know, maybe you're worried, maybe you don't want to practice your singing because you're worried about what, you know, the people in your family will think of your singing voice and stuff like that. So I want to teach you about thought modeling, and so I'm going to turn the page here, and I want you to write down an acronym. So this is going to be very handy for you. And in fact, the other request I got, which I'll be doing next week, which has to do with things like dealing with difficult coworkers, you can use thought modeling for that. So this is a super useful tool. So let's write down the acronym CTFAR. So C stands for circumstance. T stands for thought. F stands for feeling. And I apologize about the warehouse noise in the background, guys. A stands for action and R stands for reaction. So, a circumstance is something that is factual. It's not going to be something that's your opinion. So, for example, the circumstance here might be, I want to record a video while people are within earshot. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So like, I want to record a video, but there are other people working here. They can hear me. That's the circumstance. That's a factual thing. Now for the thought, and normally I would give myself more room for this, so just bear with me. The thought here is people might think I sound stupid. I mean, you know, whatever. You write down your own thought for your circumstance. So then how does that make me feel? Okay, so this is when you might want to go, like, think back to our very first video. Get out your feelings wheel. See how handy these come in. And that's making me feel, I'm gonna say like inadequate, insecure, which comes from fear here. I'm gonna say inadequate or insecure. And so then what do I do? So then probably what I do is I don't record a video. And my reaction might be that I feel down, or I feel kind of depressed that I'm not, you know, putting my energy into those creative things I care about. So it goes full circle back to the original viewer request, which remember was, why don't we partake in the creative things we want to do or say we want to do? Learn something new, write that novel, etc. So yours might not be the same, but this will help you get there and figure it out. Especially if you've gone through this journaling exercise, you've gotten to a point where you've had enough thoughts about it that you're going to be able to walk yourself through this. Okay? So then what I usually do next is I write down my acronym again. And so, you know, it's the same circumstance. But now I'm going to think something different about the situation so that I'm led down a different path. Because my thought is going to create my feeling, right? So my thought this time is, how about my coworkers support my videos? And that's something I believe to be true. The videos are something that everybody contributes to one way or another here. So this feeling, so now my feeling really is changing to maybe excited and enthusiastic. Okay, so if I feel excited or enthusiastic, what do you think my action's gonna be? I'm going to plan and record a video. And then I might feel proud, or you know, whatever. Again, this is going to be very unique to you. But hopefully this helped you explore that topic of creativity and gave you a lot of journal prompt ideas. You know, I really appreciate your recommendations, so keep them coming and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.